It's a mind game on Saturday. It's not mind games. It's a game for mind for mental health.
Both me, mate.
It's a game for mind and mental health. This season, it's no good feeling sorry for yourself because you work in football and it's tough. It's tough for everybody, isn't it?
No, listen, mine's a fantastic charity. Everyone knows that I play a big part in what my wife does with her mental health support and business. And I think one thing I want to use this opportunity for is what mental health is. People talk about, if I said to you, what's mental health to you? All of a sudden you'll start saying to me, anxiety, depression, suicide. Mental health to people, the stigma of mental health is the negative implications of that. We all have mental health. So, but if I said to you, and we used this in a talk we did to Deloitte today, if someone said to you, what is physical health? You would say to me, running, training, going to the gym. They're all positive analogies, positive examples of what physical health is. But when we say mental health, people only ever come up with a negative jargon. Well, mental health is actually smiling, it's laughing, it's communicating, it's conversing, it's being happy, it's being sad. Yes, there's depression, there's anxiety, there's a broad array of an understanding of what mental health is, but we don't talk about the positive aspect of it. We don't talk about the sort of the line that we're always on, which is constantly changing from being in a depressive to being in anxiety to being in a positive to being in a overexcited mindset. And the problem is with it is we have to control these boundaries. We know at this far end of the scale, there's suicide. We're in the middle of a world pandemic, and there's only 200,000 people less took their own life last year. Suicide. Yet this is going to be a constant, and the numbers are increasing. So with the vaccinations that everyone's working incredibly hard for, that means suicide in 2021 might be higher than COVID-19.
Yeah.
We've got a massive responsibility. And I suffered anxiety a long time ago, so I know when someone close to me passed away, I didn't understand it, I didn't appreciate it. I thought that every time I went to a coffee shop I seen people laughing, why couldn't that be me? But everybody, we all take a snapshot of people's lives. People see me in this, laughing with you, being assertive with my answers, and they think, oh, everything's fine for Karl. Well, no, I have bad days. I have days when I've cried, I have days when I'm sad, I have days when I can't get out of bed, I have days when I love getting out of bed, I have days when I love coming into work. I have all of the emotions of everybody else. But what happens with Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, we see a snapshot of perfection. And we live our constant life, which goes up and down throughout the course of it, and we revert back to that person's one small window of their life, which is only ever going to be nice. And this is what's playing a role in young people's mindset. And on top of that, when you look at the suicide age, is majority of it's under 40. I think over 60%, 65% plus is men. So we're in the middle of this pandemic, which obviously it was people over the age of 70 were at the biggest risk. And we know we've lost some amazing people who were so connected to the football club and our wishes and our thoughts. And people don't know, I keep in contact, I try and get in contact with people to make sure that the families are okay, because it's the right thing to do. But this is something that people under the age of 40 are suffering, and it's going to surpass, I think, COVID-19 this year. It might not, might be wrong, but it's something that has to change. So when we have opportunities, let me do it. Sad because we had a plan, me and my wife, that we wanted tents set up all around the building. I think it was the next game that was meant to be here before the pandemic started, where fans could go in and speak to somebody and open up and talk and have that ability on site to have a psychotherapist on site or a psychologist on site to go and to speak to at a game, because it's the right thing to do.
But they can't. We obviously.
No. By the way, it's not here this weekend.
No, it's not here. Don't come in. But there are ways that people can do it. Mind are great at it. There are people. If people are feeling those, there are ways they can talk to people, aren't there? And then it's no longer a taboo to talk about it.
No, but being not feeling okay is not a bad thing sometimes. I think it's what happens is there's a spiral of emotion, it's almost like the helter-skelter used to go on when, and the more you went round, the quicker it sped up, so you got to the bottom. But there was always a bottom. With the mental health continuum, there's not, and it can spiral so low that it might get so far that it might be beyond help. It's about having an ability to switch thoughts at a time when you feel you still have some sort of element of control, and when you don't feel you do, go and speak to somebody. Go and see somebody. Go and see your doctor. Because they will give you the right guidance to take, whether it be a psychologist, psychotherapist, whether it be medicine, because sometimes that is part and parcel of it. And we're never embarrassed. And the only embarrassing thing I hold in front of you is that 11 years of managing and near 600 games, I think, is that nobody's come to me and said, Gaffer, I'm in a bad place. Yeah, I've had every injury under the sun.
But no one's come to you and said...
No. And it's almost impossible, Chris.
Yeah.
And we still, in 2021, nobody come out who is openly gay, who's playing in professional football. This has to be crushing somebody.
Yeah.
It's not, we're living in a world now, I want to go with my daughter to enter into her adult years where she feels comfortable with her size, her skin colour, her sexuality, whatever that may be. And without the negative intervention of a social media thread, I accept all the criticism. It's fine. Because
it's not easy when the criticism, when there's 3,000 people shouting abuse at you, or the online stuff that sometimes comes your way if we lose a game.
Listen, everyone's got the right to judge me for my job. That's not my job is part of that.
Yeah.
A footballer can't complain over somebody saying you had a horrendous game today. We live in a world where we're asked to be judged. That's our industry.
Yeah.
But to be judged and to be criticised for something else is not acceptable.
Oh, right. It's a difficult question, and we are doing this kind of difficult interview, but you also will not shy away from telling somebody they've had a horrendous game if they played it for your side. There's a mental health balance with that. Do you then have to talk to them 5 minutes later and say, look...
Yeah, listen, when you're in raw emotion, like if I criticise a player, I never then call him what people get called on social media. He's played bad, he's not worked hard, it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
This football club doesn't stand for that.
People get you wrong because you're very calm in the dressing room most of the time. Right? You have lost it a couple of times, that's fine, that's what managers do. Most of the time you're very calm and rational, aren't you, after a game?
Yeah, because it's about development, it's about being better for the next game. I know managers who come out and say all the right things in the camera but don't do nothing behind it. Yeah. I show my emotions outwardly, but then internally, inside there's a lot of other things that you have to be right, because I'm the window to that dressing room for the fans. Yeah. But I think along this, and people get this mixed up as well. There's a big word that I know a lot of people will be listening to this and they'll be going, yeah, but what about X, Y, or Z? I want to use one big word here. Not a big word, it's big for me. Resilience. Yeah. So don't ever get this mixed up, because we do. People call this people have used the word the snowflake generation, that everything's soft and easy and there's no criticism. Criticism is right when loved.
Yeah.
It's like, who in your life, Chris, I'm going to interview you, who have you been most harshest on in your life? Probably
probably Mrs. Williams, maybe my kids.
Because you love them more than anybody else in the world.
Johnny the kit man, but
Johnny's an exception to all these rules. But I think that's the answer to that. Because why? Because they know you love them.
Yeah. It's
safe. Because you can walk back in that room and give your wife a hug, your kids a hug, and you can say, I love you.
Yeah.
It's safe. And it's the same with my players. I can be harsh on them, I can be aggressive with them, I can be damning at times, sometimes wrong, sometimes right, but it's always with an element of they know I care.
Yeah.
And this is where resilience comes into it. You can build resilience if you have trust. And I don't think sometimes, I think for me, showing sometimes levels of weakness being uncontrollable sometimes and being, people say, soft. I'm not frightened of people seeing the vulnerable side of me. That's not a fear with me anymore. Yeah. The vulnerability that I carry is something that I want people to understand that's part of my makeup, because we all have a vulnerable side, but we try to protect that vulnerability because of fear of people hurting that. And not until you can be vulnerable or open, outwardly vulnerable, that you're more comfortable with yourself. And I think resilience, work ethic, desire and application, care, love, affection, respect, these are all words that I associate with mental health. Positivity, excitement, sadness, depression, anxiety. These are one big, it's such a big umbrella that we miss. And I think mine do a fantastic job, and like I say, we're very, very proud to be associated with it this week. And hopefully, again, if people listen to this, it will help one person. And the other thing about mental health, Chris, when somebody takes their life, or as suicide, we all think, what could we have done? Sometimes you can't help that. You can't. And I know it's happened to people close to me, but you never know how many lives you save. And that's the key. You'll never get a pat on the back saying, you didn't know I was going to do this or do that, because it's something else changes their mindset. So you can never calculate how many lives you save by the message that we keep spreading.